Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ever so slightly delayed episode 38 of Stat Check. This episode is titled Lord Invocan'tus. And just as we can't have our bearish world ears winning any events, we also can't have Anthony with us this week. So I'm Ennis. I'm joined, as usual, by Nathan, and as frequently by Jeremy. Almost as usual for Jeremy. It's getting to the point where I should stop saying frequently, because he's just here. Can't get rid of him, unfortunately, like a fungus, like an orc. He is growing here, and he remains. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are going to dive straight into the episode. How have your two weeks been of 40k? Because I gather it's been very busy for one and a half of us.
Yes. I have not been particularly busy, although I listened to In This and decided to submit just a monstrous Iron Hands list for the 1K portion, the 1,000 points portion of the competitive league we're doing locally. So I bought my first drop pod, and now I need to go assemble it. I have a Relic Contempt here with Volkite. I'm a terrible person deep inside, apparently, for this 1,000 points.
You're actually just really influenceable, is what we've learned. Is that the second Nathan sees Anthony or I doing well with a faction, he's like, I can play that. It can't be that hard if they're doing well with it.
That's actually not, you're not wrong. I know both of you share the same 1.5 brain cells, so it just transfers between continents a lot. Otherwise, I played a really good game as part of the TTS League that we're running through the Patreon Discord against Will Milton of Team Australia fame to a 10-10 tie, which was kind of nice because the game ended at 3 a.m, so I was very, very tired. It was a great game. Guard into a Votan list that I didn't really expect to happen. The Kasserkin Bomb kind of flubbed their teleport and beamed something into oblivion with hotshot las guns, which was a little depressing, but the match was great. Otherwise, I'm painting Dark Angels models to sub in as the Iron Hands army because the longer term project is actually a Dark Angels army and not an Iron Hands army. I just want to paint something for the Lion to go into, and all Marines are the same.
Lions, big Jawa boys,
and all Marine chapters are a lie anyways going into 10th. There's not even a chapter keyword on any of those data cards that they've shown us so far.
That's true. There are no more chapters. So we can finally get rid of Space Wolf players because there will be no more Space Wolf players. Just people who decide to give into their collective delusion and still play Grimnar on Storm Chariot thing.
So, Jeremy, how was Santa? I'll do that this year. I'll just dye my beard gray and we can have Santa on stream, actually.
That's fair. How about yourself, Jeremy?
I had a wild weekend. So for those that haven't been paying attention, this is the second weekend in a row where I was head judge at a large tournament. In this particular case, it was a 160-player, 32-team event, the Canhammer Team Tournament. Annual tradition at this point in sometime around this time of the year, usually. But yeah, it was myself and no one else as judges, which was very funny. But I put the fear of God into all the players at the beginning of the weekend by instructing all of their captains that the captains are to resolve any disputes should they arise. And if the captains call me over for a dumb question, I'll card both teams. And it was very funny every now and then when I'd see someone who's used to asking me a question, hand go up, captain run over, hand goes down. I trained them well. But yeah, no, it was a fantastic weekend. Sportsmanship, level of play, everything was just top notch. I got to see bits and pieces of hundreds of super talented players and games get played. Yeah, it was just an amazing weekend. The location where we have it at is always works out really nicely. We didn't have carpet this year, which kind of sucked. So my knees are on WTC territory right now. But yeah, it was just an overall great weekend. I got to watch some of my close friends do extremely well. Half of Team Canada plus Jason Sparks took the win, and along with the win, they each got a golden ticket to take home for.
Shameful of the tournament to allow Chris Haynes to win a golden ticket. Man's not been relevant in about 20 years, and he's got a golden ticket.
Yeah, but he won Adepticon teams last weekend. And teams and Canhammer teams this weekend, so the man's on a roll.
The second any of those represent an achievement, I'll let you know.
He's also become insufferable in person because he's constantly referring to himself as the champion.
The eternal god captain of Canada can only win.
Yeah, but even more importantly, a very good friend of mine and friend of the show, Dan Morris, led a team of locals to third place. And I have on good authority that several players and captains who were in attendance did not think that Dan's team was very good, and learned very quickly that they were actually extremely good at both pairings and playing the game. One of their players, who I'd actually recommended to Dan as when he was looking for his fifth, Allie, was playing the 20 Warden list, and she would go down as their defender, and then she scored, I think it was 79 points across 5 games.
It's very
Nice.
impressive.
10, 20, 20, 20, and then the only game that she actually lost was a 9-point game against Francois World Eaters.
It's very well fought. Massive congratulations to those guys. Dan has been doing a lot of work with GSC recently and put in some absolute work at the event. So,
Oh yeah, I think he was talking to me, and before Canhammer Teams, he had played 95 games with GSC since November. And a lot of the local practice partners, myself included, have really noticed that improvement. But the biggest part is that he did all of the prep work as captain for the team, so including figuring out pairings, figuring out how to. Thanks, Tim. Live stream of Curie getting interrogated. Yeah, it's beautiful and sunny out, and I don't have blinds, so I'm just washed out. I don't care. It's beautiful out. I'm getting sunlight.
You're washed out. Christine's washed up. Like, it's all coming in.
Come on. Just because I'm not playing an event, how could you be so cruel? Oh, and now I need to go find an event that I can get a ticket at, because I can't let Haynes go without me.
Exactly. It's honestly just.
But yeah, overall, just fantastic event. Everyone was truly sporting. One of the semi-local teams, Bloodbath and Beyond, they actually sent 3 teams up. Their main team finished second, and one of their backup teams won best sport, and it was a unanimous best sport. All 5 of their opponents voted for them, and I can say that for them, they are some of the friendliest, nicest guys to play into, even when they're trying to kick your teeth in. As
well they should, frankly.
Yeah.
It sounded like an awesome event. I was getting some rundowns on what was going on from all across the spectrum, so it was super awesome to see it go down. It's always been one of those events. It's like, I would like to do that one year. It does look like a good event.
Oh, it's always a fantastic event.
Perfect.
Oh, but yourself, Innes, what have you been up to?
I didn't do anything of consequence this weekend. Not that I can talk about anyway. No, so I attended Home Nations this weekend, which is one of those. It's the second most important event on the calendar for the year, and the one I don't get to talk about much because it's billed as a prep event for the WTC teams. So it's the 5 British Isles teams. So Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, England, and then Belgium are the 6 core teams. And then we invite 2 teams from across Europe. So this year we had a Swedish team and a Netherlands team. And we get together and we do 5 rounds of 8-man WTC prep with theoretically our WTC teams. And this is fantastic practice for us. We get to blood some people in, get them a bit of experience of playing against other national teams at that level. Like 4 months before WTC, we don't put the list anywhere. We run it on Tourney Keeper rather than Best Coast pairings, so you can hide it and other people can't see it unless you got the link from somebody, which some people did. Some captains posted the list documents on their Twitter. Things like this. There's always funny bits like that, but the idea is that it's not public, so that we can all fully commit and we can all play as close to what we'd be planning on doing for WTC as possible. This year feels a little irrelevant, and as far as the lists go, because with 10th edition coming around the corner and WTC having voted for, if it's out by the 7th of July, we're playing 10th ed, which hopefully it will be, given that they're already on preview articles and things like that now. So it was more for the perspective of getting people used to working with our coaches, getting people, integrated on the systems, doing matrices, playing against other people of this skill level, which was fantastic. It was one of the best weekends of 40K I've ever attended, because I played 5 very easy games of 40K where I showed up with Iron Hands and went, go away. 4 and 1 tough one, which was great, good fun. And we, as a team, managed to go 2-2-1, with our loss being to England, draws against Netherlands and Belgium, who have been doing really well. And we managed with that to come second overall at the event, because it turns out with 8 teams, if you draw the other 2 teams that made top cut and lost to the team that beat all of the teams they played, you come second, which was super awesome. So we got a bunch of learning in, figured out some weaknesses in like the way we had done our practice for the event, the way we had built lists, the way we had assigned players even. Got a lot of prep with our coach. Our coach, Nick, was an absolute hero. I would say hands down the 2 rounds we won were because of Nick, just being incredibly good at feeding information back and forth at his first out in coaching. So I look forward to seeing exactly what he can do at WTC when we've got 3 months to prep with what he's learned from this one. He's going to be fantastic. But yeah, besides that, not a lot I can really say about it. Besides, if you ever get the opportunity, if your country ever gets invited and you're there, you should definitely attend because it's a fantastic event. Also, we went out till like 3 and 4 a.m. doing karaoke, which was great. And I'm still sleeping it off, I'm not going to lie. And Liam VSL has a wonderful, wonderful singing voice for Hotel California. It's very important that you know that in a French accent is something else.
Good to know.
Isn't it a Belgian accent?
Yeah, but he's French-Belgian, so it's like basically French. He'd tell me off for saying
French,
that.
95% French, yeah. Oh boy, we're
So
going to
yeah,
talk
fantastic weekend. But besides that, I've only done my life of 40K. But yeah, mostly just home nations, which was in Wales this year, which is the first time I've been to Wales, and I'm never going back. It was awful. I'll see you in 6 years when I have to go back. That'll be it. So that's been me. As far as anything else 40K wise, I'm playing Gene Cults for Alpine Cup in a couple of weeks, which is going to be super awesome. That's the team event I'm attending with Brian, Anthony, Typhus, and Pumbaa. We spent like 4 days deliberating on lists and then hard audible 2 hours before with 2 players factions. Standard stuff.
How'd Typhus respond to that?
Typhus was one of the people who hard swapped lists. So.
Oh, okay.
I took a picture of Brian's face at Home Nations while he was playing Orcs, and he looked so happy. So we bullied him into taking Orcs.
Hell yeah!
So we ended up not submitting guard, which feels blasphemous, but also skill issue. So we'll be fine.
Reasonable.
If it's going to make a player miserable all weekend, it's not worth bringing.
Well, if it was Anthony, I would have done it, but.
Anthony on guard. There's a thought.
He hated Tau. Man, guard must just be even worse for him, actually.
So yeah, we ended up submitting Iron Hands, Orcs, Craft World or Necrons? Craft World, I think. Gene Cults and World Eaters for that.
That's solid.
Yeah, it should be good. But there's a really good German team going. There's a really good Italian team going. I think there's another. I think there's 2 really good Polish teams going, actually. It's going to be scary. It's going to be a great event, though. I'm really looking forward to it. And I think we're having somebody on to talk about Alpine next week because Anthony flies over. So Anthony, I don't know if will be available.
Yeah.
I should check what my teammates playing. That's probably a good thing to do. Anyway, let's move on to stats because that'll do.
Cool. All right, let's talk about stats. I don't know why. Nobody cares anymore.
No one really cares.
No one cares. But I'm going to talk about how terrible the meta is.
We've still got at least 2.5 months of playing 9th edition. People aren't going to stop going to events, so people still care. And if we stop caring, people will stop caring. So we have to at least maintain some standard of decorum.
Fine. But this is like this feels double dead meta because supposedly a balanced data sheet is coming out very soon.
Next week.
Is it actually
in the March meta watch? They mentioned that it would be coming after Adepticon and after Easter.
They said after Easter in that article. Okay.
So my expectation is that we'll see it next Thursday.
Oh, we submitted Necrons. Ignore me. I have no idea what we're playing.
Well, you weren't sure if it was Grapples or Necrons. That's fine. They just score.
All right. Well, I'll talk about the meta though that is going to be dead in like another couple of weeks because a data slate is going to come out and change everything, hopefully, because the meta is kind of not super amazing at the moment, although this week's data on a weekly basis is kind of interesting because we see at least one faction rise from the grave, which is interesting. At the top, though, we have Gene Stealer Cult. From a pure win rate perspective, they had a 61.8% win rate, an event win, 2 top 4s and 4 top 10s for an over rep of 2. Talk to me about that big Thickums dead meta. All right. We're going to talk about the big Thickums double dead meta just for Tim because he super chatted to ask. In second place is Dark Angels, who haven't gone anywhere. 29 players for a 5.1% representation, 59.4% win rate, 1 event win, 3 top 4s, 7 top 10s, and a 1.47 over rep. So perfectly balanced, totally balanced.
That's
Perfectly
balance
A-okay.
is 50% actually, but go off, I guess.
World Eaters, 5.6% meta representation, a 58.2% meta, and a complete and utter inability to close out the deal with 0 event wins, 4 top 4s, and 9 top 10s, and an almost 2 over rep at 1.78. So our RTT and mid-table terrors that are our World Eater friends, except for Anthony, continue their bout of terror, just not at GTs.
Yep.
And then we have
Lord Invocan'tus.
Yep, he avocado can't or avocant. Astra Militarum are the next one up. They have a 7.4% meta representation, a 57.7% win rate. So it looks like guard players have started to figure things out with 2 event wins, 4 top 4s, and 13 top 10s, and an overrep of 1.35. So Astra Militarum players seem to have figured out how to win. They won 2 events last week, I believe, and then 2 events again this week. So we're starting to see a lot of event wins come in. We can break down some of the sub-faction data in a little bit. Chaos Demons are basically our perennial top 5 candidate, no matter what the situation is at this point, with 35 players, 6.2% meta representation, and a 56.6% win rate. No event wins, but 3 top 4s and 8 top 10s for a 1.2. I don't think Chaos Demons are going anywhere. I think they're always just going to be in our top 5 to 10 at this point. They are very good, and you should consider them when you're doing stuff. Iron Hands are in 6th place, 6% meta representation, a 56.3% win rate, which is inevitably a 70% win rate if you just consider successors. With an event win, 3 top 4s and 7 top 10s for a 1.25. I'll pull up that data in just a second from the metadata dashboard, or Jeremy can pull it up in just a minute from the spreadsheet that we lovingly use.
Yeah, Master Artisan's Whirlwind of Rage. Sorry, I'm looking at like a month's data. If we just look at this weekend. Iron Hands, they are so good. Master Artisan's Whirlwind of Rage had a 62% win rate this weekend.
Okay, so not quite 70, but it's 62. That's respectable. And that's just for the one.
Me and Brian were both at-home nations, so
true. It's true. We missed out on our 70% Iron Hands win rate because 2 of the better players were away.
And Nos is there as well.
So Nos is there as well. And then Francois was at a team event this weekend.
So yeah,
doesn't Francois play long range marksman anyway? That doesn't even count.
No, he plays Master Artisan's Whirlwind.
Okay, he moved back. Good. I was
worried. It's Mark Hurdle that plays the long range and
you should stop doing that.
Then we have 2 factions that are probably not surprising to everybody, but are a little surprising to me. Craft World Eldar are still good, 6.3% meta, 2 event wins, 6 top 4s, 7 top 10s, and a 2.37 over rep. They had almost a 55% win rate. And then a faction I actually thought was just dead, and I'm kind of confused as to how they won anything, to be totally honest, although I'm assuming somebody looked at their list, is Tyranids. 3.7% of the meta, a 47% win rate, 2 event wins.
Fuck you, Tyranids players. Stop it. We're trying to get buffs.
2 event wins, 2 top 4s, and 3 top 10s for a 1.35.
So I can confirm, one of those events was the event they played with almost no terrain. So I don't know how they won that.
I don't know.
Go first 5 times with 3 extra greens.
Is that the one where Is that the one where they were asking players to bring terrain and making up rules at the table side for the terrain?
They were assigning keywords to the terrain. They weren't actually making up rules, but they were basically saying this piece has this, and that. Basically the same thing that people did at Adepticon.
In theory, Adepticon had a packet with the way things that were supposed to be keyworded.
In theory.
In theory. In practice, maybe not so much.
Tyranids players, get your shit together. Stop winning games.
Someone's asking about Hail of Doom. Hail of Doom is holding steady at that perfect balance mark of like 49.5 to 50.5% over the last like month.
Is it what is it? Is it Swift Strikes and something else that's kind of
Swift Strikes Masterful Shots is the one that Liam VSL and that are playing.
That would make sense then, because I've heard a lot of Swift Strikes talk and chatter in the background.
Yeah, there wasn't any this weekend. There was one that took Dark Patrol as well. But
because Liam VSL was at Home Nations.
Exactly.
And then I saw that Seth, our favorite orc who doesn't play with transports for some reason, had 33 players, a 5.8% meta representation, and a 52% win rate, 0 event wins, 2 top 4s, 5 top 10s, for a nearly perfectly balanced 0.86 representation.
And they could transport that all the way up by just playing a couple bandwagons.
They would probably transport it up if Seth would play transports and actually, get good scrub. I don't know. That's what my thoughts on that. Oh God. For more about Seth and Orc Anatomy based on what Disflux just said in chat, you can go watch Grim After Dark, where that I was on Monday.
Yes, do go check it out.
At the bottom, and I'll plug them again at the end of the episode, folks. Don't worry about it. At the bottom, we have 3 factions that had no players. They were all Marine chapters. Raven Guard, White Scars, and Crimson Fists now have had 0 representation. Crimson Fist and Imperial Fist, that's 2 weeks in a row with not a single one of them in existence, which is a little depressing for them. Imperial Knights are the worst faction currently with more than 10 players, as well for this weekend at least, with a 2.6% meta representation and a 28.9% win rate.
Wow, my boys, what have you done?
Wow, that's real low. Like, that's where it deserves to be, but
there's a lot of things that just murder Marines that have high meta representation, like Iron Hands and Dark Angels, just pick up Knights off the table as if they didn't exist in the first place.
It was very funny at Can't Hammer Team. One of my old teams that I had founded, they've continued bringing a team of mostly casual guys who go to like one event a year. They finished 9th. Kudos to the Curious Degenerates for that, but it was very funny because their captain figured out the trick to putting his guard player into every knight player that was on the opposing teams and just 20ing them.
A trick. Master this trick of putting the army exclusively with tools that murder knights.
Yeah.
How did the team that had the all big things lists do? The one that had like the 6 gladiators and the 5 crit and cleavers.
That was Eric's list.
Yeah, how did they do?
I will have to look up because I can't remember.
Then.
Not particularly well, but not terribly, if I remember correctly.
Like
so they played Chris's
Penguin
team
Boys
round
or something like
1 and got dumpstered. So they went into the fun bracket from the start. It was very funny. They paired Jason Sparks' Deathwing Terminators into the 5 Great Unclean One list. And when turn 3 hit, Jason just activated the Assault Doctrine and picked up 3 Great Unclean Ones with all the Thunderhammers, because turns out T9 doesn't matter when you can just reroll all your wounds and all of your hits from the chaplain.
Yeah,
so the 3 Great Unclean Ones, the character and the Forge World one?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure I understood.
Yeah, it was 3 Great Unclean Ones, Scabby Thax, and Rodigus.
Okay.
Le Bourrin Penguin finished 15th, so middle of the pack. They went 2 and 1.
They got 2 ties that round. That's fairly impressive. That round, Team Boron's Penguins got 2 draws that round. So come on, man, first drama. Couldn't even 25 garbage lists.
So one of those was Francois into Eric's Knights, and Francois just said, "I'm staying on this side of the board, and I'm getting a 10 because I'm not coming near you because you're just going to shoot me off the table." Eric backlined and placed his terrain open, so there was no way he could come anywhere near.
Francois was playing World Eaters, not Iron Hands.
Yeah. Oh, if you'd played Iron Hands, that would have been
really worried for a second that Francois was really bad at Warhammer, and I had just not noticed.
And there's your Can Hammer team summary for a moment, I assume. Grey Knights are the next worst faction at 15 players, a 34.2% win rate, and a 0 overrep. Harlequins actually didn't even have enough players for me to consider them as part of the normal statistics. They had less than 10 players, and they still only managed a 38.2% win rate and a 0 overrep. Chaos Space Marines were 2.8%, 16 players, 39.3% win rate, but they did manage 2 top 10s, but no top 4s, so they are also a 0 for overrep. And then rounding out the bottom of the pack is Necrons at 19 players for 3.3% of the meta and a 40.5% win rate, but they did manage a top 4 and 3 top 10, so they had a 0.75 over rep ratio for the weekend. So Necron players, quit whining, you're fine.
So I'm really curious, since the beginning of February, how many factions are below 45%, you figure?
Below 45%?
Yeah.
Including Space Marine chapters or not including the Space
Let's include them because it actually is interesting to the discussion.
Probably like 10 to 12, maybe.
Yeah, 12.
Okay.
Grey Knights, Imperial Knights, Admech, Death Guard, Chaos Space Marines, Thousand Suns, and then Ultramarines, Death Watch, White Scars, Raven Guard, and Imperial Fists.
There's a reason why I just don't want to talk
Most of
about
those
Marine
aren't factions. Don't worry about it.
Most
Yeah,
of
I mean,
them are
in
not
10th, they
real
won't be factions, so it's great. And then there are 5 that are above the Goldilocks zone. I hate that term, but Gene Stealer Cult, Dark Angels, Iron Hands, World Eaters, and Chaos Demons.
Yep.
Although Guard are starting to flirt very closely with that 55%.
Yeah, they're at 54% probably.
Guard players have realized that you can just submit good lists. You don't have to play weird bullshit.
Yeah,
You don't have to try to play a parking lot of artillery now. You can just play 3 heavy weapons teams.
Yeah, you could.
And Lehman Russes, and you'll have a good day.
And 20 to 30 Kazakans and ruin people's days.
Yeah, the real 30 Kazakin, 20 is coward territory.
20 is the right number. 30 is
20
a lot.
20 is not the right number. 20 is so far from the right number, it's 10 from the right number.
I'm in agreement.
I'm trying to decide which 10 to weigh.
Why would you not just spend 300 points on the best unit in the Codex?
I don't. 30
Want to buy 10 more. I get it. I understand you, David.
I don't want to buy 10 more Kazakhin. Look, I got a mechanized unit, and I got the Barbican's key unit, and
then you have an heirloom weapon squad that walks on a board edge and kills something on turn 3.
Sure.
And then you get to do all the strats 3 times, and then you win every game.
Fine, Innes. I will do that next
That's
round
right. Yes, you
of the
will.
TTS league.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's very
right.
influenceable. Fine. Fine.
Look, Nas is doing it. That's all I'm saying.
That doesn't make me any more likely to do it. As much as I like Nas.
You shouldn't do anything Nas is doing. I hear that's not good for your reputation, but...
Oh, God.
Love you, Nas.
Nas, friend of the show.
Nas, friend of the show, friend of mine, terrible person.
And then so Custodes can stop whining at me about how they need buffs in the slate. You guys are fine. Leave it alone. You are, as for this weekend, at a 6.5% meta representation, which actually is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
A 53% win rate, 3 top 4s, 5 top 10s, and a 1.15 over rep. You're fine. Stop posting in various channels that you hope you get like T9 bite captains, a 2-up, 4-up, and then super transhuman for only being wounded on a 5-up. You keep doing that.
They've been solidly in the top 10 armies all season.
Yes. I don't think there's been a point since the LVO before last that we haven't had Custodes doing just fine.
They flirted with the 49% at one point.
Oh no,
that's fine.
I know.
Top half of armies.
Damn it. God damn it, Jeremy! Don't say that way.
I will say I've never been happier than watching like a transhuman, no rerolls in cover Warden Brick just die to a shooting phase. It's so much fun. I love doing it. I also killed the bike captain with a single lance beater on Sunday, which was really funny.
That's just rude.
I think that guy felt disrespected, but honestly, he shouldn't have been. He was just standing there. And I was like, well,
the most disrespectful thing though, still recently was 10 Kasserkin killing 10 bloodletters in combat. That was still my favorite thing, and the most disrespectful thing I've done recently.
No, the most disrespectful thing I saw this weekend was 10 guardsmen killing a Riptide from full.
I actually have to give that a little applause because that is actually so fringy that it is funny. Did they charge it to kill it the rest of the way? Or
no, just shooting.
They shot it.
Oh, what? No.
Turns out when you just make him take 3-ups, he will fail enough of them.
Yeah. I mean,
and by enough of them, it means he failed, I think it was 9 out of 11 3-ups and then lost the rest of it to the plasma. I came by that table and I was just like, what have you done? And the guard player was just cackling maniacally while the Tau player was looking depressed.
I think that Riptide actually needs to just go into a storage closet now and never come out because it is the world's unluckiest Josh.
I despise how every BS4 army hits on 3s nowadays.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Like, Tau aren't BS4. Tau's BS is... Don't like it.
Guard aren't BS4.
Guard aren't BS4.
They are sometimes when they're firing
No, they're not.
indirectly.
No, they're not. They're not
Very
BS4.
indirectly. No, they're BS5 then.
Well, no, they're BS4 because +1, -1 for.
Yeah, it's +1 to hit.
I know, but you still get the minus. Never mind.
I'd like you to stop now. If the Finial makes it to 10th, I'm just leaving.
I really
No,
hope the
you're
Finial
not.
doesn't survive. And I will give up my relic banner if the Finial dies.
I'll give up Rupert Obliterax to kill the Finial, and I need you to know that's like a
Ooh.
difficult
That's-
thing for me to say.
That's a lot, actually. I think that's like Innis parting with his firstborn to get rid of the Finial, which is saying something. How about then, I guess we talk about some meta nonsense instead of talking about stats.
What, like how the meta is nonsense?
I mean, the meta is nonsense because every Marine player is telling me it's just fine, the Desolation.
I mean, we could just be reactionary about 10th edition for a bit.
We want to talk about 10th edition and the datasheet stuff. Just for
T5
fun, dude?
Terminators.
Let's talk about the datasheet and stuff. It'll be fun. Oh, I guess real quick, I was on Grim After Dark on Monday. Go watch it and support our friends John and Danny. And Grim After Dark was great. It is funny. I think I've been a guest on their show the mostest times, which is probably too many times.
That's definitely too much exposure to John and Danny. I'm not going to lie. You should
They're
check
actually-
to see if you've caught a garbage army.
It's actually funny because Danny and John, when they hosted Mob Rules, was one of the podcasts that I listened to when I was first starting in 40K, essentially. So it was like them and Chapter Tactics were like the two podcasts that I listened to the most when I was starting into 40K competitively.
Solid.
Otherwise, so thank you for the
Well,
question.
I flew John Monster Munching Crunchy Bars to LVO, so I like the guy. He's a good lad.
Yep.
They're both great.
Do we want to talk about Terminator squads and how they're now T5?
Everything I've seen about 10th edition has me so hyped. I am very much excited about this edition so far.
Yeah, same here.
So in case people
I
weren't aware,
just want a book to fall off a truck somewhere.
I just want them to. I'm gonna just like start ordering an 8th edition rulebook once a month to see if they ship me an 8th one by
they
mistake.
accidentally ship you a
Actually,
10th
can you
one.
even buy them now?
I don't
Yeah, I
actually
think
know.
so.
Let's find out.
Although Games Workshop employees were supposedly telling people not to buy 9th edition codexes.
Yes, they
I
have
will
actually
say,
been doing
I've
that.
not opened mine in like at least a calendar year for the core rulebook. So
So just so people,
you can still buy the Warhammer 40,000 core book. So
I mean, it does have lore in it, so I suppose technically there could be reasons. I know.
so just so people know what we're talking about, Warhammer Community released an article today called "Just How Tough Are Terminators" in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000, and so we're gonna have a chat.
They're pretty
about
tough.
Some
Pretty
cool
tough as
stuff.
well. In a 9th edition context, they're pretty tough. We have no idea what this means relative to the rest of 10th edition.
yeah, we've
But-
seen 3 data sheets. We've seen Gaunts, Intercessors, and Terminators now.
Yeah, we've actually not seen a weapon besides. We've not seen a weapon yet printed that would force a Terminator to take its invulnerable save across the 2 data sheets we've seen. So,
Yeah.
I guess the Power Sword. Power Sword was AP2. So, no, we've not yet seen a weapon that requires them to take a save.
No,
versus
because they
their
have a
armor
4-up invuln now. So that
Yeah,
that would make them to take their invuln.
But there's nothing that's higher than AP2 yet. We've not
This
seen
is
anything.
But they only have a 2-up save. I guess, yeah, it doesn't force them to take it.
There you
Alright,
go.
Fair
Filter in
enough. Fine.
So the first
yeah,
big thing, Terminators have
Terminators
a
are
4-up
T5.
invuln now.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're T5. That's really cool. And also, we've seen a bunch of changes to like how weapon stuff works. So, like rapid fire is no longer just doubling shots; it's now get an extra set of shots at a certain range. So it works more like how DACA does now, which I
Which
think
means
is a
that
really
DACA
good
goes
change.
away, and they realize that we could just make it
Didn't need it. Yeah,
rapid
guessing-
fire 6.
we don't need
weapons
Hunter
will probably
anymore.
change
Yeah, because
similarly.
Hunter is just type gun. It has no special rules. So
Well, and that's the interesting thing is that when you're looking at the data sheet, you have the Stormbolter, which has the rapid fire 2 keyword, but then both the Cyclone missile launcher and the assault cannon don't have a type next to it.
yeah, they're just type gun. It's good. It's a
Yeah,
much better.
no,
way
it's
to use
great.
things.
I'm glad that they finally realized that they don't have to make everything a heavy rapid fire or whatever, and they kind of experimented a bit of that towards the tail end of 9th. And I was like, well, why do we need to have a weapon type? Just have it so it has no rules. like Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, you could still leave stuff like Malefic on for demon weapons and just have them be like, no modifiers. It's cool. But yeah, I think broadly so far, it seems like it's been a really, really cool set of information we've been given. I really like the Terminators ignore modifiers rule, and they get +1 to hit against what looks to be a chosen target. There is a really, really cool core stratagem they leaked, or they released. Leaked is a strong word for
the deep strike interrupt.
For deep striking your opponent's turn. I am like, I'm going to play so much cults.
I'm pretty sure that since it's listed as
generic
core,
stratagem for everybody,
everyone has that strategy.
Yeah, you're going to see that strat a lot, I reckon. Depending on how CP works, like obviously we're still working with very incomplete information right now. Like we don't know how CP generation works, how many CP you'll get, how many stratagems you can.
My
use.
expectation for CP is that it's going to be similar to arcs.
It'd be hard for it to be lore.
It could be, but
based on what they've said, it looks like you're not spending CP on warlord traits and relics anymore, though, because the enhancement thing is just like you get a set number per army now.
So your army looks more like World Eaters.
Yeah.
Start at 4 CP if you buy a warlord trait and a relic.
Yeah, and if that's going away and it's just start at 6 now, I could very much see us having a lot more cool access to these stratagems. But that has me hyped for like deep strike armies. I'm thinking about stuff like it says you can't use it to bring down something earlier than you would be able to, but does that mean you can still bring down a drop pod turn 1 if that's the last drop pod assault?
Drop pod in your opponent's turn.
Drop pod. You go second, you bring down the drop pod behind the wall on your opponent's turn, jump out with your 10 dudes.
Oh no.
I love it.
10 jump packless Vanguard veterans that then run at your opponent.
I mean, like, that doesn't seem good, but sure.
You could do it.
It's a brave new world. Who knows what's good?
Otherwise,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that doesn't sound very good, but it doesn't pass the eye test, right? That's the colloquial term for.
Yeah, so they've also featured.
Like that's going to be great.
Yeah.
The other thing they previewed was anti abilities for weapons, right?
Yeah.
Which is where you get
like poison or haywire, right?
Yeah, you get a critical wound, which is a 6 to wound. So I'm assuming that we're going to see a lot more 6 to wound triggers on data sheets and stuff like that over time. So, like their example on the data sheet for Terminators is the Chain Fist, which is anti-vehicle.
Yeah,
anti-vehicle 3 up. Right. So on a wound roll of a 3 or more, you will wound any vehicle. They did change the profile of the Chain Fist a bit, so it's not as good as it used to be. One of the other things that you see on this is like all of the weapons have had their AP reduced, is what it looks like.
Yes, which is a very Chain Fist used to be AP 4, now they're AP 2.
Yep. The other thing that you see changed a little bit is like Power Fists no longer have like a -1 to hit. It's just.
I mean, Terminators would ignore that anyway with that rule, right? So why would it bother?
True.
But the thing is that they made it so Chain Fists hit on 4s now.
Yeah.
Whereas Power Fists hit on 3s.
Mm-hmm.
So they've even kind of delineated how things, which is one of the things that I was really excited for when I started when I found out that all of the weapon skill and ballistic skill were going to be weapon specific. So now you have this. Okay, if you can get a +1 to hit with a Chain Fist, you can only ever be hitting on 3s. You're not going to be hitting on 2s with Chain Fists. Something that I really enjoy doing with my Dark Angels right now, but now you can't do it.
You also saw like the Thunder, the Power Sword, which only the Sergeant can have as an extra attack. There's no like extra bit for Sergeant in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's definitely interesting. But like we saw the Intercessor data sheet, did we?
No, we saw pieces of
it. We saw their profile. We saw their profile. So their toughness 4 still, 2 wounds still. So that like stuff hasn't changed.
Yeah. So I'm expecting good things from this edition so far. Everything they've done so far seems pretty good. I love the new templating on the stratagems. It's very clear. Yeah. I get that it's a bit wordy and that there's a little bit of like, yeah, you could probably condense it, but it removes so many edge cases. And as a 40k player, there's nothing I hate more than edge cases that don't favor me. So getting rid of all of them means that there's a lot less risk.
I guess one of the questions I have then is there's like an arrow symbol at the top of Rapid Ingress as well, and I wonder if they've added some pictograms to their stratagem cards as well. Like maybe
that one means that you can only move triangle when you do it.
Stop it.
I was gonna say it just meant that it happened during the movement phase.
Oh no, that one just represents that when you destroy terrain, you can't use that one automatically.
Please stop Stop quoting the Chat GPT like spy fan fiction chat
the one that lets you psychically move craters is in that category as well. So
I will say.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
For anyone who hasn't seen the new stratagem format, it now has a very clear delineation of when what the target is, what the effect is, what the restrictions on the stratagem are. So it means that there you go.
Here we go.
There is considerably less everything about this. It's
We're
just
gonna zoom in on
it's
it.
just cleaner.
What do you mean that I don't have to read about how, like, on the 31st millennium, on the far battlefields of the 27th century, this guy discovered this strategy that allowed him to punch harder.
That's still there.
It's
I know,
still there.
but it's
Be it
not in
cunning
the rules
strategy.
text anymore.
You still have to read it, but I do like this when, target, effect, and restrictions thing. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. I like that my
also
guys are
means-
definitely, I'm choosing that it's always cunning strategy. I'm never using the other two. I'm coming in by cunning strategy. My guys are just smarter. That's why they can move faster.
Yep. Now I'm going to stop.
Actually, I think Fist gets less attacks than swords because it's a Terminator squad and only the sergeant gets a sword in the Terminator squad. So it just represents the sergeant being more attacks rather than them printing a specific sergeant makes one more attack with his weapons, like you might see on a Sigma data sheet, which I think we'll probably see as we start to see some more units.
I will say that this has me more excited for 10th edition than I was previously. I was a little whelmed with some of the news that I had heard outside of Tyranids models, but this has me a little bit more hyped. Yeah, the fact
so hyped for its models. It's
I
going
just
to
want
cost
them
me
to
so much goddamn money.
It's going to make me poor. Which is I can eat Tyranids models if I have to.
Message in my store like, I need 3 of the box. I need 3 of everything just in case. Please, please drip feed me the Tyranids.
Please just send me Tyranids, sir. Please.
Please, I would like to use the big Silent King bug thing to annihilate my opponents. I don't care what their armor saves are. I want to do infinite mortal wounds.
And I think the only keyword that we don't really know what it does is torrent. But I kind of assume
got
that's
torrent,
just
and then there's also the devastating wounds one for the.
Well, we know the devastating wounds one is related to critical hits.
Sure, but we don't know how it relates.
If you look at how Horus Heresy works, it's probably just gonna be an extra AP on 6s to wound.
Probably.
Yeah. But it might be like an additional effect on 6s or something. Yeah, there's a lot of
mortal wounds.
We also don't know what Oath of Moment does, which is the Space Marine faction.
We will know tomorrow.
Which we will know tomorrow, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, because that is their faction ability.
Yeah, so what you get for being Marines, their cool thing. So I like that they're still keeping in faction abilities because they're one of the cooler things that we got in 8th and 9th from like 7th and the previous editions, where like, yeah, you had datasheet abilities, but getting a thing that just unites everything, I like.
And then one thing that we did forget is that Flamers now ignore cover again.
Yep, which they always should have. It was really weird that they didn't. Now, my worry is, do you reckon Tzeentch Demons Flamers get a little hit back?
No, I don't think they do.
I think 100% no, 100% they're going to.
They're
probably they're going to be a completely different data sheet. So like, I'm not worried about it from a power level. Okay. I just hate that they're called Flamers and they don't auto hit.
That's fair. That's fair. That's reasonable. I'm also kind of excited to see some more about this morale system because it sounds like it might be meaningful based on like little nuggets that we've gotten from GW so far, like between previews and stuff like that.
Objective control and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see what they've done with morale to make it useful. I hope they bring back sweeping advance so I can just murder people's units if they fail morale.
No, that would be one of my favorite
stories.
There are some things from 7th and previous editions that need to stay dead.
Oh, but it's so fun.
However,
your opponent rolls a 2.
If you get invisibility, I get stomps.
I abused both gladly.
Zachary Bell has a question that we might as well just answer since we're.
Is it worth them spending 20% of the Terminator's data sheet and a beacon token to say Terminators can use the new strat for 0p? Yeah, I think it's going thematic. It takes a direct model tie-in. Like Terminators have always had a teleport homer. They're in Space Hulk. They're in all this, and it says here's a thing you can do that's special. It's not a lot. It's just a nice little thing. If you forget it exists, it will impact your game very little. But it's a cool thing, and I think it's honestly not a bad choice. It's
also you can definitely taunt your opponent with it by like putting it someplace. Be like, I could put Terminators within 3 inches of this beacon over here. You should remember that
the data sheet for Terminators has never been an interesting data sheet. Terminators have like Crux Terminatus and this as in combat squads as a special rule. That's it. Yeah. That's all they've got.
If anything, the Fury of the First innate ability is actually very nice to have. So I don't view the teleport homer bit thing as being wasted space. This is something that you never would have had normally, and now you get it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's cool. I would much rather every unit have a little thing that improves a basic thing rather than doing something wildly unique. keep the wildly unique for like special characters and like unique units and things like that. Like I'm okay with Gulliman doing something cool, but Blade Guard probably shouldn't do much that's super cool. They should just be good units with good base stats. And Terminators being similar, I don't think is a bad thing.
No, I don't think it's a bad thing. They've tied some more cool stratagems to unit abilities, which is fine. And we don't know anything about like how rerolls and stuff will feature in the new edition or anything like that. So we really don't know a lot about how the context of how the Terminator datasheet fits into the rest of the edition.
No, we know almost nothing. It's great. Yeah. I love this. But everything we do know is pretty cool. And I'm probably okay with the 5th to 7th edition design sensibilities with 8th and 9th design philosophies. So
and 8th and 9th, specifically 9th, rules tightness.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, more Sigma rules tightness than anything else, right? But
sure.
Mm-hmm. I do hope we get to see some new Tyranid models soon, though. That's really my real hope.
I'm dying for them. But if they're starting faction focuses tomorrow, that probably means we're getting like we used to get one every other day for 8th edition or 9th edition.
Okay.
It was one every other day, I think, and then they did like another article in between. So roughly, take that. There's about 25 factions in 50 days, and then pre-orders.
Yeah. Could be.
I think pre-orders will come sooner than that, but
I hope not. I need to make some money.
It's going to be playable at Warhammer Fest, is what they were saying.
It is, which is in 3.5 weeks.
Yeah,
which to me says it's coming in May. Is what that says to me.
I will be at Warhammer Fest, and I will definitely have my thoughts because I'm going to speedrun as many games as possible and run through to the main hall so that I can go and like watch people playing 9th and 10th edition, so I can learn it for WTC. So. Yeah. I'm going to come back to my opponent and be like, all right, so my Iron Hands are objective. Nope. No. Hold on.
They are objective controlling, but it's called secured.
I kind of wish they called that stat objective secured and just kept the name, but I get the confusion level might have been a bit odd there.
I think renaming it is fine.
Yeah, but I feel like
for exactly that reason, it won't be
objective secured 1, objective secured 2 would have been better. But
sure.
Just
I'm really
naming convention.
I want to see a monster data sheet as well. Because they mentioned that vehicles and monsters might have higher than usual objective controlling stats to let monsters and vehicles be more useful for holding objectives. And I'm intrigued to see if that bears out and how that bears out for vehicles.
Jake, we already ran through the strategy about 5 minutes ago, but it's a really, really cool to see the updates. What I want to see is Tyranids. Come on, Joey. Give me him.
I am assuming Warhammer Fest is going to be the big Tyranid reveal, is my assumption.
Give me. Let me buy them at Warhammer Fest, please.
Innis might die between now and then from the Tyranid shake.
It's been so long.
So long.
Do you know when the last non-character Tyranid model was released?
Okay, I saw that you had to narrow that down because you remember.
Carefully.
You had to remember.
We've had the Blue Door, the Parasite, and Vortex, and that's been it since 7th edition.
Yeah.
There was literally not a Tyranid model released for 8th edition.
There's still an original Warp Spider model. What do you want?
I don't really care because you've just gotten new other models. Like, back the fuck off.
You just got new Tyranid models. A whole new character model.
A whole new Termagant that I have to paint 300 of again. It's not a new model. That's an obligation.
And the Hormagant looks like it's a totally different sculpt. That's not coming in the same.
That's fine because all my Hormagants are broken at the ankles and weighed down by pennies. So
or mine.
Brian says his golden throne is coming with the 10th edition start set, and I will mug you for the Tyranids, Brian.
Nice.
That's fine. We know Brian's a long time Marine player.
Exactly. Brian's a long time whatever's broken player, as we all know.
What's wrong with
all right, I'm going to do the plugs, and then we should take a break, and we'll come back for questions.
Sounds good.
I got the sheet. It's got my one brain cell on it. I wrote it down.
I'll do my plug first.
Go for it.
Go watch Grim After Dark on YouTube. It's amazing. You can find it with Grim After Dark 40K. I was their guest this week on Monday. They're on every Monday at like 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is like 9 p.m. Central Standard. The show's great. It's just ridiculous. That's all. Go watch it. Have fun. Learn about some orc anatomy.
That seems like a trap.
It definitely is a trap.
I'm suddenly less excited about listening to the episode that carries my name.
I got something to plug before Enos does his plugs because it's fun delaying him. So anyone who has their head in the ground will have not seen this, but most everyone else has. Goonhammer today announced the launch of the Unified Tournament Circuit, the UTC, a complimentary tournament circuit for the northeast of the United States as well as Eastern Canada. We've had a little bit of work in the background alongside them talking about how to do their ranking system and their scoring system. I've been corralling the 20 or so Ontario tournament organizers to get as many of their events on the calendar as possible for the launch day. I'm extremely excited about this. It has a transparent system for scoring points at events. RTTs actually count for something now. Not like hugely, but you actually can get a decent number of points from RTTs. It doesn't heavily skew towards large events. Like basically, if you go attend a 200-person event, that's the most points you could possibly score. So it doesn't matter if it's a 200 or a 1,000-person event. So long as you do well at it, you will score a considerable number of points. And it is the points I've looked through the ranking, the system, but it's basically you get points for your placings, for your wins, for your consecutive wins, for the size of the event, and for your relative percentile ranking, which is exactly what you want to.
Sounds exactly like how we run the Team Scotland rankings for the past decade.
The numbers actually look very similar to that. So I don't know. Take it up with Boone.
To address like Ashley's comment about the naming of it, I think the intent is to expand this beyond this initial.
I was going to say, there's no way you call something a unified tournament circuit if it's staying in the northeast.
It's not just going to be the eastern U.S. and northeastern and the eastern part of Canada. It's going to be everything, probably.
Yeah. So for a bit more context. And Goonhammer talks about it at length in their article, but this started off as a partnership between them, Tables and Towers, and Fabricators Forge, who wanted to start off something new in the northeast of the United States. They reached out, they got a lot more people on board and involved, and this is the first year is going to be here. But there is, from my understanding, a plan to grow. It's just you don't do everything all at once because you want to be able to grow at a reasonable pace and keep track of everything. And from what they've announced, there is going to be things like prize support. There's going to be an invitational at the end of the year. So there's a lot of stuff around here that if you were to launch internationally immediately, you would be overwhelmed.
How many events do I need to attend in the USA to get an invite?
6.
Fuck.
No,
anybody want to run
necessarily 6 because you could score really high on like 4 events and still get an invite potentially.
That seems really unlikely.
Yeah, just win 4 super majors in the northeastern United States. Easy enough.
I only had plans to win like 2, but okay. I would definitely be up over like getting Scotland into this pretty quickly. So it seems like it's very, very expandable. But yeah, you don't call it something like this without having some plans. So I look forward to seeing where Goonhammer go with this. I have a lot of trust in Goonhammer, not just because they support us, but because they've been doing good work for a long time. To see them continuing to do good work.
Yeah, and they're definitely putting their money where their mouth is with this, in terms of like the risk taking and all of that, because they are. There's no cost to the tournament organizers to sign up as a UTC affiliated event.
Yep.
It is quite simply you submit your event. And the beautiful thing about it, from what I've noticed, is there's no token system like the ITC. You just submit you just make sure they know about your event, and they will do the player scoring and all that for you, which is real nice because tokens lately for the ITC have been a nightmare.
I'm kind of excited by some of the other stuff they're talking about doing as well, like judging and stuff like that, like getting a unified judge group and stuff. Those things are very exciting.
It makes me, who have been trying to train judges or starting to train judges locally so I can play in more events and still have them at like the quality that I've been doing, doing that. They're also talking about doing that way. I actually enjoy applying for 3 tokens for an event. But yeah, and it's one of these things where like talking about unified rulings, judge standards, guidelines, terrain rules, all of that sounds amazing, especially going into a brand new edition. Like the first couple months of events under the UTC are going to be 9th edition, but after that it'll be 10th edition. It'll be a whole new wild world, and we're going to want to adopt it. Zachary Bell, TO is free to use whatever terrain rules, etc. that they want. As far as I know, there is no restrictions. There are going to be recommendations for the best way to run your event, but they will not restrict people to only running a certain way. But the bigger thing is that if you go to a UTC event, you know to expect a certain standard. And I can't say because I'm not directly involved, but I would expect that standard be enforced at some level. You're not going to have a UTC affiliated event that shows up with no terrain or styrofoam boxes.
Unless they're really nice styrofoam boxes. All right, Ines.
And they're doing everything.
Now I don't want to.
No, it's time to do the plugs, Ines.
Fine. Thank you, everybody, for being with us so far for Stat Check, episode 38, Lord Invocan'tus. We're very sorry we don't have an Anthony with us this week. He is truly the only thing that keeps us together by staring at us until we start talking properly. But we really appreciate you all being here. And I'm going to start off with the proper plugs. So first, we would love it if you checked out the other shows on the network. That's mainly Enter the Matrix and XM1. XM1 should be recording this Thursday, where they'll be going over all things making Cliff a Death Watch list, which will be live on Thursday at midnight GMT or 7 p.m. Eastern, probably. That sounds close.
That sounds correct.
It'll be off by an hour. Figure it out. It'll pop up in your YouTube feed. It can't be that hard. Otherwise, it'll be on like your podcast apps. End of the Matrix has recently finished up its breakdown of 5 and 8-man team tournaments, which is available as YouTube content only because it does have a visual component we recommend you follow along with. So those won't be coming up on Patreon feeds or on podcast feeds, but do check that out if that's something that interests you at all. This is actually page 2 of the thing. That'll be why it's. Told you, one brain cell. I did the first bit, and then I just launched into the other shows bit. So
you did it so well, but
I did. It was going so great until I realized. So with all of that said and done, what you can do to support us is a couple of things. We would love it if you could check out our Patreon, which is patreon.com/statcheck. You can, for $5 a month, get access to all of our bonus content. I'll be recording tomorrow with Kyle Grundy, who recently did really well at the Manchester Super Major, who has been doing very well for the town a long time. I'll be recording some bonus content with him, so that'll be coming out for patrons first on Friday, and then for everybody a week on Friday. And that's the best way you can support us, the best way you can get in touch with us. There are some really awesome people in that Discord doing really awesome things. And if you want to catch all of the hot takes from us about 10th edition as they happen, it's the best place to be. Otherwise, you can check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/statcheck. If you want to check out the live feeds, which is 11 p.m. UK, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, blah, blah times. Hey, it's Kyle in the chat. So you can check that out there. That is where you can see all of the bonus content from the past that's been released for everybody, all the shows. Check out Into the Matrix, check out XM1. That's all there. If you're in a position to, we would love if you could check it out the Patreon. If not, the YouTube is the place to be. If you could leave a like, a comment, subscription, all that, the standard pluggy stuff, it helps us out a lot. We do our best to respond to everybody who is posting in the chat because we love all of you guys and we're really thankful for your interacting with us. Lastly, myself and Typhus do offer coaching if you're interested in improving your game, especially with the lead up to 10th edition on the horizon. We're doing a lot of focus on getting better as a player rather than getting better at 9th edition specifically. If you're interested in being on board for when all of that happens, getting all the reactions and all the takes as it comes, check it out. We would love to hatch you. Catch you. Let's definitely go catch you. It sounds better than hatch you. That seems a little... you can check that out, stat-check.com/coaching, or drop us an email at coaching@stat-check.com. And yes, Kyle, I could teach you how to play Tau because good Lord knows Brian's not doing it.
Oh, shit. On that note, we're going to take a 10-minute break.
Short 10-minute break. We'll be back at 5 minutes past the hour, or 15 minutes past the hour, wherever you are. I'm going to grab a drink and recover from some of the things I just said. And we'll be back with questions from the Patreon and questions from the Super Chat in the live stream. So if you do want to get a question on the show, make sure you're dropping it into the Discord whenever you get the chance, or in the live stream if you're not. We'll be back shortly. Thank you very much. There will probably be an ad here, but it'll be seamless if you're listening to the podcast. So good luck.
If you ask it as a super chat, we'll definitely answer it during the question segment. probably.
Sorry, Kyle, you did not. You asked for that, but you did not deserve that.
Innes, is there an amount of money that they could super chat that would get you to WA live on stream? I'm just curious.
It would have to be enough money that I could deal with my dad hitting me, because he's definitely asleep right now and he's up for work in 2 hours. So, like, it's going to be enough to apologize to him. No, but not a chance. You have not met my dad.
This is true. I have not. And it is, in fact, not me, despite stats.
My dad is a large ex-military man. The apple fell incredibly far from the tree.
This is sounding more like a $200 thing.
No, not even close, buddy.
Oh wow!
Like, no,
I'm enjoying this. Innes, your dad doesn't play guard then.
My dad very briefly played Skaven because I took the high elf half the starter set for Island of Blood, but that was like 8th edition fantasy. So no, my dad does not play 40k.
I think Jeremy is frozen. He hasn't moved in a while.
Jeremy's either frozen or like the interrogation's really intense.
Or he's paused very contemplatively about figuring out if there's.
I'm gonna go grab a glass of water. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, it would be just Innes getting beat up live on camera for your viewing pleasure, folks. At that point, you're muted, Jer. Having some lag.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything went dark for a minute there.
Everything went dark and you froze in the very contemplative position as me and Innes tried to figure out an amount of money we could give Innes to WA at this time of night in the UK.
Yeah, I heard bits and pieces about it. And apparently the apple fell fairly far from the tree.
Yeah, Innes's father is apparently ex-military, so that's what we've learned today.
So
how much
he doesn't
new
play
nids will
guard.
Innes want? No, he does not. Innes said that he played Skaven, and then that's the last time that he did something.
Cattle. Right now we are just wrapping up an internal scrim and kicking off another internal scrim. Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Bums. A Marine holds 3 chainswords by having one in each hand and then a helmet that has one attached to it.
Or it grows out of his face if he's a Chaos Space Marine.
That's true. He becomes one with the saw at that point.
I am glowing considerably less now that the sun has gone down.
Yeah, it's very gray here.
How was your trip to Guantanamo?
I'm glad that this segment is getting cut out of the podcast.
Valentine, I'm working with Bruno. He says that he is going to, at least he's been talking to Peter, who's been the main Canadian representative. So his events should be part of the UTC. If they aren't, I'll go yell at Bruno because I'm going to his event at the end of the month and I want it on the UTC rankings. What if each chainsword is twin-linked?
Well, then you have a chainsword on either side of your hand, and that's how a twin-linked chainsword works. And twin-linked is back in the game, which is the funniest thing, like as a keyword for things. I assume it's going to go back to a reroll like it used to be in previous editions. I've only played since 8th edition, so I don't know any of these keywords.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I will say, and I've said this multiple times. I really like the return of USRs.
USRs were a thing that never should have left. There were
Mm-hmm.
too many of them. If you can tell me what Missile Lock did in 7th edition, I'll be very surprised. But yeah, there were too many. There was like 6 pages of them, but like 20, 30 USRs is more than enough. It does the job.
If you have like 2 pages of USRs and that's it.
My friend John's just messaged me saying, "I've met your dad. I wouldn't even war on him during the daytime." So,
ooh, I wonder if
love USRs. 8 data sheet abilities.
You ate them?
8.
Simple as.
I guess we can save some stuff for when we take questions, like bold predictions for 10th and stuff like that are probably good for question segment.
Yeah, I don't know. I really want a book to fall off the back of a truck.
I agree. I'm having a very weird moment, and I shared it with you guys in the backstage chat.
That is impressive.
He did say it was weird, and I am also confused by it.
I'd love to see how that works.
I don't know, but
Catholic are terrible. Looking forward to seeing your beautiful face this summer.
Aw. I'm excited to see everybody's
Don't
beautiful
lie
face
to
in
him.
person again. It's very reflective, and as we have seen, Jeremy does like bright lights in his face. I'm sorry, Cathal.
No, you're not.
I'm a little sorry. No, I'm not. It's true. I think it was Cathal who sent me voice messages on Facebook when I asked him questions. Cathal? I don't fucking know. Cathal. That's how we're going to pronounce it now. I'm American.
No.
I fuck up
Cathal.
everything.
Oh no.
Cathal.
It's pronounced cow.
Cattle.
Cow. No, cow.
Cat.
Cow.
Cattle.
Cow.
Cattle. Cow.
Yeah.
I'm
Just call them cattle.
I'm being purposefully difficult at this point.
$500 for innocent dad to punch you on stream. That gets us demonetized and possibly delisted.
This is true. I mean, we would say it's $500 to wah, I suppose. And the punching would just be the net result at the end of it.
Cahill is basically mini-me, says Carl Grundy. Yeah, but Cahill at least can make his national team.
Jeez. It is Wales, though, right? No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Leave me alone. Rip. Man, and it's in rare form because he can't.
Cal also represents what, like 1 million people at most?
That's a significant. I think Cal represents like 2 people, and then 6 people show up,
and then 5 sheep because that completes the population of the region.
Tomorrow is cancelled. That's fair. I feel like you're the one missing out there, though.
It's Republic of Ireland, not Wales. I know.
No, I've seen his shirts. He definitely represents Team United Kingdom.
None of them are countries, anyways.
That's true. He's definitely just cunty.
We're going back to the show now. We've had enough of this today. Do we want to do our 10 minute break, our 10-second break?
I don't know. I feel like I need to have like another minute of normal conversation where I'm not an asshole.
We can do that. So, Innes, how's coaching going?
It's going really well. I just need a little more time with it to, continue growing, but it's going really well. I'm really enjoying it still. It's nice just talking to people about 40K. I don't know. There's only so many times I can tell people, please stop moving off the objectives. But thankfully, that's not happened yet. So I'm still at my quota. So if that's a thing that you suffer with, definitely DM me.
So what you're saying is Mandy's your next client?
I would say accidentally moving off objectives would be my struggle. But sure, I guess. Somebody's just pinged me something, which is definitely going to be...
Just because Maddie hasn't asked for coaching yet.
My is my least favorite Matty right now because he didn't even, Paul's my favorite Matty right now. I would never even help other Matty. I was told if I move my home objective first, I'm getting disowned. That is true, yeah. I definitely did tell Elias that.
Night Gal.
I told my team at Home Nations that if they moved their home objective first in Vital Intelligence, I'd be under their bed. And Secure Missing Artifacts, I'd be under their bed, so... Which would probably be a safer place for me than the karaoke bar with Nas, but... All right, let's do the 10-second countdown before I get in trouble. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us through that break. We are now going to move on to the show questions from the Discord and from the Patreon. No, Discord and the live stream. I don't know. Those are the same thing.
Those are the same thing, bud.
Don't worry about it. It's only a horrible problem if you acknowledge that it's a problem. Let's start with some show questions. First question is from McWarp, who says, "Oh God." So after listening to Brian Sleep and the folks on StatCheck and Fireside discuss Manchester in some depth, definitely, I have some questions about the UK DC top cut elimination system. First, 4 or 5 players didn't get a chance to play for the event. I understand there are time constraints. That means you can't simply play 9 rounds of 40k in a weekend. But it's bad. It's bad. We don't like that there's not a top cut that includes everybody. Unfortunately, with the limitation to 7 players, and in the attempt to maximize event size, to maximize ITC points, which is the entire point of the events, not gonna lie, they don't split into multiple flights. It's kind of sad. It very much changes the meta that people are playing in, and I don't think everybody loves it. But it's the format we have. It's the events that we can attend. We have submitted the feedback. There are 2 events that run with a full top cut. Or there's 1 event and 1 that plays 8 rounds. That's what we got. Unfortunately, it's use it or lose it for us, so we're using it. That's all I got. But there was a lot more to that question. I'm just gonna, and then the second part of that question is why are they disallowed talking it out in single elimination games? It's probably to avoid accusations of the top cut not being played out properly, because they want the games to be played to their completion for competitive integrity purposes. And when there's 2 games that are being actively judged and 1 game is being actively judged, it's a lot easier to prevent that than when there is 200 games. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, makes sense.
What factors go into your decision to switch factions for singles, assuming that money and hobby aren't a barrier in this case? This is from Dan. Dan's surname. I'm sorry, Dan.
Dan G.
Dan G. Yep.
As has been proven earlier in this episode, Innocent Anthony make me do all of my decisions basically by talking about them.
We just gaslight Nathan until he does what we tell him to.
It's basically true.
Nathan swaps whenever he feels like Dark Angels aren't good.
Sometimes Jeremy also assists with this process.
Yeah, for myself, I will almost always play Dark Angels unless I have felt I've hit a wall with them. My proverbial Joker moment at War Masters meant I put them on the shelf for 4 months.
That when you lost to fucking Chris?
When I moved a little too close to Centurions, realized my mistake when he was starting his movement phase, and this game's over.
It's entirely fair. And I never understood how those Centurions ever successfully made a charge, but they sure did make a lot of them. I'm still confused as to how. For me, it's a lot about perceived strength at the time. Like, there are like 5 factions that I'll gladly jump between as and when. So like Tyranids, cults, various like Marine sub factions. So White Scars, Iron Hands, Dark Angels, anything else I can cobble together. And then like vaguely chaos stuff. Like if there's a good chaos list, I'll consider it. I'll bounce between those, and if there's one that's not one of those, I'll either grizz it with the best of the bad batch, or I'll buy a new army. That's kind of it. But a lot of it comes down to how I'm feeling about like Team Scotland stuff. So like, what am I playing for events for that purpose, and then how well do I want to be doing? So I played Tyranids for like 100 straight tournament games because I just kind of was fine playing Tyranids, right? But at the start of the edition, I bounced back and forth between factions almost constantly because I was trying to fight something to play into Drukhari with. So very much it varies based on the current meta and how good my armies are. God, that was a miserable time.
It really was.
Bellacore and 3 Playbrush Crawlers was probably a low point, but sure did go 5-0-1 at that tournament. So. Right. Next up, we have: how do you feel the effect? What do you feel the effect is of other game system? What do you feel is the effect of other game systems potentially on the new edition outside of the GW space? I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to other games to really have an idea. There will definitely be design inspiration taken from all across the spectrum because I assume GW aren't insane and pay attention to what competition is doing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of scaled down games. They'll be looking at their own games like Kill Team and games that will come out as a response to that. Games like Star Wars Legion, games like Marvel Crisis Protocol that are all absolutely going from strength to strength. And they'll be looking at that and be taking design inspiration because they are a company in the space. I don't think that's a
they're
bad
not
thing,
stupid.
but I don't really know any specifics. Like, I don't think we're getting alternating activations. I don't think we're getting random activations, things like that. Like, I can't see that. But streamlining things like the command phase, like taking phases out of the game and putting powers back onto just like when they feel natural, makes sense. But that comes from a lot of other spaces. Like that's kind of like Star Wars Legion is something similar to that, where force powers are just a thing you do during your turn. So I don't know. It's hard to be like specifics because I don't play a wide enough range of other games. But they're not having an impact.
And they definitely are cannibalizing their own game system quite heavily. Their own game systems quite heavily.
I don't feel like cannibalizing is the right word, but using them as test beds is probably more accurate.
Like we saw a lot of that with AOS 2nd to 3rd edition, Kill Team 1st to 2nd edition, or 2018 to current version.
Mm-hmm. They're adding some stuff that works. The data cards are, I think, an example of that, and like the streamlined data sheets.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very much happy with all of the changes that they've previewed so far. Will there be a Data Slate live react on Thursday? Whenever the Data Slate comes out, there will be an episode within 12-ish hours, depending on what we can get together. The other issue may be if it's next Thursday, Anthony will be in Austria and I will be on my way to Austria. So we'll see what happens. Jeremy will definitely see what the other people can do.
We'll get Cliff.
And if I'm free, I'll be there. If not, it'll be other people. We'll see.
Maybe Penny if he's open.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be something. Yeah,
there will definitely be something.
Ernest, how does it feel to be embracing the 4-round Emperor again? What are you most excited to try? I dead ass submitted my Coventry list again. So I was like, my list is literally called Trucks Equal Gaslighting. So
oh God.
So I have refused to learn anything. I made like the minorest of tweaks for the new points changes. Like I got in some extra icons and I have 16 Webers and 4 web pistols. That's it. I was like, nope, my Coventry list worked. I'm sticking with it. I refuse to try trucks. They're not real. You can't make me. Despite owning all of the stuff for that list, I was like, nah, I got practice on this. I know what I'm doing. I am most excited to shoot people with a Calomorph again. I love that guy.
With Wormtooth rounds?
Obviously. You can that's what I hate about the truck list. He doesn't have Wormtooth rounds. How many Desolation Squads at Alpine? I actually have no idea. I didn't really look into that hard because I'm choosing to put my fingers in my ears and not acknowledge they exist because pairings is a thing and I will never have to play against a Desolation Marine with any expectation of points.
So, who's doing pairings is an important question.
Not me. It's going to be the first time I've ever been to a team event since 8th edition that I've not done pairings. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. The side effects of being the captain. Not all the truck lists have Wormtooth, Elias. I don't believe the one that Eric was running for his event last weekend had it. What's the worst date you've ever been on? Cool, moving on.
I actually haven't been on that many epically bad dates, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
the worst one is like some casually not great dates, like whatever. Go to a movie, get dinner, go home. It's nothing special. Sorry.
Probably most uninteresting was watching the Iron Giant and making out.
That's as dates go fairly interesting.
Yeah, but
if that's the worst that you've been on, that's not pretty good. Bad.
I've been fairly lucky when it comes to partners and dates.
That makes sense. How is everyone going to spend the last few months of 9th?
Painting Marines mostly.
Yeah.
I really need to figure out how to stop the black scraping off. I really need to just figure out how gloss varnish works because all the black chitin on my turrets is scraped off and they all look like crap now because they keep getting stored. So I really need to repaint some of my nids and learn to gloss varnish models because I've never done it before. Because I want my nids to look good, but my nids are the last time I finished painting a turret model was for Manchester last year.
Oh wow!
So everything else has just been kind of painted the red, painted the black on the carapace, and then never went back into the blue or like the eyes or anything like that. So they're all kind of like 30% done. So I have a lot of, if I wanted to make my knits up to playable, the last thing I finished painting was my harpies for Crusher Stampede. So
you're just reminding me that I have to go fix a harpy, and I need to satin varnish everybody so that they're sealed
Matty
properly.
broke the spine off of one of my harpies, and I don't know where it is, and that's not an easy part to replace. So
you can just make it battle damage and be done with it.
I could, but it looks really shit.
For me, I've got a couple events I'm going to be running, a couple events I'm going to be going to, and we're pretty sure that we're wrapping out 9th edition with a 24 team event.
I want to try and hit 300 games in 9th edition at tournaments. I'm at 235 just now. I reckon I can do
it. Yeah, probably.
I don't know if I will, but I want to set the aspiration. I actually don't have any events booked after. I have a GT I'm running and playing in middle of May. And I don't actually have anything until like a team event in July, so maybe not. But
yeah, I have 284 games of 9th recorded.
284 games. How many tournament games?
49 events. You have one event more than me.
One event more, yeah. So I'm doing an article right now for my 50th because I hit my 50th event, 235 event games. So I'll be posting up an article in the next week or so, going through some of the stats for that. Jeremy, you should definitely do the same.
Do it. I guess my only other goal for the rest of 9th is to win both phases of this competitive league, provided 10th doesn't come out in the middle of it.
You make me sad. Are you including TTS in that, Jeremy, or is that just physical events?
I don't count TTS games.
Yeah, me neither. I was curious.
No, phone app annoying to do when playing on TTS, so I just don't bother.
That's fair. I have
they're not real.
I don't actually have all my games recorded on TTBA. They're just in a spreadsheet. I only use TTA occasionally, so I don't have all my stats, unfortunately.
I track everything, which is great when it comes to looking back on secondaries and realizing when I was on a streak.
How many games did you say? How many games did you say you had?
284
with 49 events.
Yeah, they're not all event games.
Yeah, no, you don't play a lot of practice games, do you?
No, I don't. No, I really don't.
Because I'm at 235 event games with 50 events. So, like, the gap there is like 50. And I'm like, that's not a lot of practice games over 3 years of an edition.
I can actually check right now. If I just sort by tournament, 196 tournament games.
That's right. So, a lot of RETs in there then, yeah?
Yeah. I think that probably about half my events are RTTs.
That's fair. I got to ask the other one question. What's your tournament game win streak? Do you know?
My best win streak?
Yeah.
For tournaments? 10.
Only in tournament games. 10. That's pretty good. Nathan, any idea?
I am defeated at every single event that I've been to at one phase or another.
I need to ask
the one that I won. So I guess my longest one is 5 because I won around GT. There you go.
That's fair.
Plus, you may have won someone on the other end of that, so it could be longer.
Exactly. That's how I got mine. It's just unlike you go from a loss at 1 to 1 4 or 5 events later. But
unlike these two, I play most of my events, most of my games on TTS as well, and so I count those as real 40K games.
That's fair.
Yeah, and then my longest streak, including practice games, is 19.
Oh, that's good.
So my event streak is 24, which I recently got. Yeah.
Man, in practice, mine is probably closer to that number in practice. Yeah.
Yeah. I was speaking to Mike Porter last April, April 2022, about his win streak, and he was like, "Yeah, so me and Matt Roberts from the England team were comparing ours, and they were at 15, 49, and 51 event game wins in a row respectively at one point." I was like, oh, "Ways to go, man!" There are some people that just don't lose games. It's incredible. Also, you pad those stats by RTTs and small GTs and things like that. You inflate that stat pretty high if you really wanted to, avoiding big events. But it's kind of mental how much you can win in 40K, isn't it? Right, we got a few more questions. How is the new 40K going to potentially affect stat check if it contains lists, etc.? Directed mainly to Jeremy.
Honestly, don't know.
We need to see the architecture right first before we know.
Yeah, it all depends if events are also run through the app. Because if events aren't run through the app and they continue using BCP, nothing changes.
Yep. I have a feeling that it's going to continue to be run through BCP based on some inklings and hearsay that the 40K app doesn't do pairings.
Well, that would make it real useful for running tournaments.
Yep.
What are the North Americans' thoughts on the UTC announcement today? We covered that earlier. That's not a question, Preston. As someone going through my first edition change, what are some things I could do to keep the competitive focus on 9th events I'm attending, knowing that a new edition or rule set is imminent?
Skills are transferable.
Most of them are transferable from edition to edition.
You're not going to get worse at moving models, making decisions, taking risks. Like, these are the things that make you good at 40k at the end of the day. Knowing the specifics of mechanics is what makes you good in addition. Knowing how to, take an appropriate risk, how to avoid taking damage back, all these kind of things are things that you are just going to be good at. Play the game. You've been enjoying 9th edition for long enough that you're going to be able to keep up the momentum for another couple of months if you don't stop. If you stop now and you're like, I'll just take a break, and then you try to go back, yeah, you're probably not gonna go to like that one last RDT. But you keep it up, like, what else are you gonna do with your time? I don't think we do anything else.
If you're just looking to have fun.
Exactly. Anthony, blink twice if damage spills over in 10th edition. That's a big thing that Anthony's been threatening people with. I really hope it doesn't. That would be
I think
hard.
Anthony's just been enjoying playing AOS too much the last little while with his Bloodthirster list, where it's just funny you fail 3 saves and lose 9 models. So I don't foresee damage spill becoming the norm in 40k.
I don't mind especially if it's on a few things. I hate it on like. Actually, no. There's nothing to do bad with it. Like, it's like the Flail of the Unforgiven, the Plague Ring Stratagem, and Magna Rails. Like, grow up, it'll be fine.
Yeah, Plague Flail on the Great Unclean one as well, I think.
Sure, I've literally never played against one of those. Yeah,
I've only ever seen it at a teams event.
I'm going to take a break from having fun because there's slightly different fun coming in 2 months. You're not going to stop. We're all addicted. You're watching this show because you're addicted to 40k in some capacity.
You can also change your hobby to be something slightly different. If you do just want to take a break before diving deep into 10th edition, like paint some models.
Like the month before it comes out, if I don't have an event plan, I'm probably going to play a bit more Legion than I would normally would. That's like the man, but that's going to be like the dying embers of the edition. When I've done like the last GT I'm going to, and I know my next event's 10th, I'm probably going to chill out for a bit. But that'll be it. Like, we're at least 2 months away. Go and play the game you love.
Yep. Or paint models.
Stat check GT when?
We just running a stat check. We're running a stat check.
Theoretically, we can theoretically name any event any of us run the stat check GT.
Yeah, like all its dust was a stat check run GT.
I'm technically going to say that my one in May is sponsored by Stat Check, even though I'm going to do nothing to require that make that happen.
Yeah. The Capital Clash that I will be running alongside friend of the show Dan Morris and Nick Blackburn at the end of July, where we're handing out 4 golden tickets, is going to be essentially a StatCheck affiliated event.
I can't believe Canada gets so many golden tickets. Do you have this many good players?
So in Ottawa, we have 13 tickets being handed out.
There aren't 13 good players in Canada. There aren't 8. Like, I've seen your teams.
Man, Innes is just like hamming out on.
I wanted to say something, but actually, the top 8 kind of selected themselves this year, so yeah.
Yeah, man.
God. All right, let's keep going.
Damn. What's your favorite species of egg for consumption? Chicken.
I like duck eggs a lot. They're real good. Or yolk. Yolk's best part of egg.
Definitely chicken. Yolk is definitely the worst part of chicken.
You have the great point. Let's be honest. We'll all be reading 10th rules as soon as the first games are played at the end of the
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'm going to come out of Warhammer Fest and I'm going to be like live streaming immediately. Like, let's talk 10th, bro. Yeah. I've got to break it by fucking middle of August. It's so little time.
Sooner than that. You have to break it by like the middle of July to get your list.
Yeah, I know. I might get to play a tournament before then. Right. Do we have any questions very quickly from the Discord, from the live chat? Yes, we do. Call it Shansi says, hi, SC. Do you feel like... SC, I don't know if I like that. Do you really feel armies that are mediocre, such as Dark Eldar, Imperial Knights, and Death Guard don't need changes, even though they're a big handicap building a GT major? I don't think Imperial Knights need changes. I think Imperial Knight players just suck, and the meta is really hostile to them, and everybody getting worse will make Imperial Knights better. Dark Eldar probably need better stuff. Dark Eldar are fine. Like, yeah, you probably need to be really good to win a major with them, but the meta is very hostile to them as well. And yeah, Death Guard just I don't know what you do with Ecker, man. That army just fundamentally doesn't work. It's just not good.
But both of those armies have won an event in Arcs of Omen.
Put
There
core
you go.
back on paint engines.
No,
Do it, you cowards.
Do not do that. No.
Do
take
it,
core
you
off
cowards.
of Rax, actually.
Cadbury is not a species of egg, Seth.
I wish it was.
I mean,
I did just see a recipe for deep fried Cadbury cream eggs, and that actually sounds.
It's
really
not a recipe, buddy. I don't know how to explain
Well,
to
you
you
did-
that that's.
There is like a batter that you prepare.
it's not a recipe, it's a life choice that you've made.
No,
It's
that's
not a
air-fried
recipe. That's a
Baby Bells.
problem.
that does indicate that we need to have an intervention of sorts.
I think that's indicating that we need to end the fucking show. But
We have one last question, which is like a sister's question, and I need to find it again. Valorous Heart or Bloody Rose?
Bloody Rose every day of the week.
Agreed.
Like if you're gonna hit really sad, you might as well hit slightly harder.
If you're gonna be sad while punching, you might as well be slightly less sad while punching.
I think that'll do us.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty nice to have a slightly shorter show after the monoliths we put out for the past few months.
Yeah, save
We're
me some
actually gonna end
editing
on time today.
Exactly. Jeremy earning that paycheck.
And yes, Goltus Shan, it was on B. Dylan Hollis's
The guy who does the TikTok
Oh, yeah.
videos. With
I'll
all the
do one
different
last thing.
recipes from like
I'll
the
do-
50s and stuff like
Oh,
that.
there's one last question outside of the thread in Discord.
Great.
That's their problem, not mine.
Eloizel, learn to use the thread. Oh no, it's not Eloizel did. It was Ethan.
Are
you
y'all
all
excited about the new Hive
excited?
Fleets the GWTs? Yeah, because they're gonna give us more options for detachments to use. That's what you got to be thinking.
I'm definitely gonna repaint all 3,000 points of Tyranids I have painted to a new scheme.
You've got 300 new Gaunts to paint.
Yeah, but I bought 5 pots of Martian Iron Earth so that I could do the crackle paint still, because they said that they were going to stop making it briefly. It was one of the two, either Iron Earth or Iron Crust, and it's the one
I
that
painted
used for
3
that.
Demacarons and Behemoth. I'm never painting in any other scheme. Those models are never getting redone.
I'm not going back and repainting this army. I'm just going to keep painting them and like tuning the scheme that I paint right now.
I
I'm
have
not gonna
8
go
Hive
back.
Tyrants in this scheme, man. Like you can't make me.
There's the clip. You can't make me.
I have one last one to quickly touch on. Cadbury's cream egg are significantly worse than the caramel versions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will catch you next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Somebody needs to press the buttons.